Good evening. Thank you so much for tuning in to Good News on Entertainment. I'm Carley Boyette. Tonight we focus back in on Unsung Hero as it continues to do well in theaters. But tonight we talk with one of the leading ladies of the film. Not only does she star in it, but she is also one of the executive producers. But even more than that, Candace Cameron Bure is one of the leading ladies in the faith-based entertainment genre as well. She is an actress, producer, director, New York Times bestselling author, and even has the title of the Chief Creative Officer for Great American Media. But let's start tonight by talking with her about Unsung Hero.
Let's go.
How y'all doing?
Are y'all from England?
Australia. Australia. Wish I had an accent.
Dad, I wrote a song. Thought maybe we could ask for an audition.
Oh, that's great, honey. Let's take it one step at a time.
Kay tells me you're a promoter. You know someone looking for one. Well, I may know somebody who should be.
She's been given a beautiful voice. It's a miracle.
She's a special one, son. Your family, they're not in the way. They are the way.
Oh, what a treat it is to finally get some time with you, Candace. How are you? I know you've been super busy these days.
Thank you. I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here.
I told you before we got started I was going to share a little personal favorite memory of mine because it involves for King and Country. Not only did I grow up with you on Full House, but I have been a TV host now for almost 20 years. And I remember being in our newsroom at the time when you were on The View and For King and Country came on to surprise you for your birthday. And it was such an inspiring moment for me to see that on a talk show. And I just recently listened to your podcast with Joel, and I didn't realize y'all didn't really know each other back then.
We didn't.
And to just see you both, the careers blossoming, and to see you both working together, I mean, this must be just a really, like, God, look what you've done.
Yeah, it certainly has been. It was incredible to meet them. I too was a fan for a long time with their music, and so it was such a thrill for me when they came and performed on the show, and then had my daughter sing along with them. But we really did form a family friendship from that day forward. And yeah, it's just incredible. It's like weird. I told Joel the other day, because I was at one of their concerts last weekend, and I said, it's so weird because you're my friend and I know you, but once you get on stage and you start performing, like, I just turn into a fan. Like, I just I'm like they are so incredible. And yeah, it's just amazing to see what they've done over the years. They're just such a talented group of people. I'm always amazed and feel very blessed by their friendship.
Well, and what God has done for them and their family, and what God has done for you, and just continues to give you and help provide more platforms where we can share stories, share interviews that are Christ-centered. And finally, again, me coming from mainstream media, where now I get the privilege of promoting faith-based movies like what you're putting out. So I'm so appreciative of that. But to have the freedom, to really talk about what matters, but still in a fun way.
Yeah, exactly. I've been in family entertainment my whole life. I've actually stayed away most of my career from Christian entertainment because I never felt like it was up to the standards of everything else in Hollywood. And so I've worked really hard, and I'm so proud to be at a point in my career to see so many people coming forward who are people of faith that may have been a little shy in the past, intimidated maybe to share their faith publicly with Hollywood, but being emboldened and just are all in it. And you see the rise of such high quality, beautiful Christian films over the last few years. And it's an incredible place to be. And I feel like, in that sense, there's a revival going on in Hollywood.
Yes, that's what I was going to mention. It just feels like the tides are turning. It's a new era. You're kind of leading the charge, which I love. Let's talk about Unsung Hero more specifically, though. And what I love, it celebrates the joy, even in the hard times of motherhood. And I know just the word joy is something you focus on a lot. I love it. I did Tara Lee Cobble's Bible recap last year.
Awesome.
So I, did all of that last year. But it's about the joy in motherhood. And even there's a scene in the movie where she even admits, like, my dream was just to be Helen, the mom, is just to be a mom and to be a wife. And sometimes I had a chance to talk with Helen, and I feel like sometimes in today's culture, if you say that, it's not as welcomed. Like, it's like, what? You just want to be a mom?
I know, as if there's not a lot happening there. It's like the biggest responsibility in the world to be caring for another human being and like raising them up well. It's an incredible job. It's an incredible journey to be a mom. And it often gets overlooked by our current society. We don't value it as much. And I think there's a lot of us that, also as women want to be in a formal workplace. And so sometimes it doesn't feel like there's room for both and to do both jobs well. So to put the spotlight on moms in this film is incredible. And to say that you're the difference maker in your family. You mean everything. And I think Helen in this film, she's the glue that holds everyone together.
Yeah. Did it help you maybe look at your family? And I know you're a proud mama yourself, and your kids are growing up and getting married, and it's just you're entering a new phase. Did it help you? Because I think this movie will make us look internally a little bit on how we view, children and family and sometimes the struggles that come with it.
Yeah, it certainly will. This movie will tug at the heartstrings, so bring your tissues. But there's so many characters that you can relate to. I mean, I looked at Helen in this movie and I'm like, yeah, she inspires me to be a better mom. And she just, she made the unexpected an adventure instead of falling into like the pit of despair. And what an outlook to be able to have that. And that was also because she placed her hope and faith in God. And then I look at David, the dad, and I felt for him so much because he really couldn't catch a break. He was doing everything he possibly could, and just nothing would go his way. And there's this unbelievable scene in the movie that I cry every time I hear it. And there's a bit of an argument, and David's at his wit's end, and she is saying, honey, like, stop, nobody's judging us. And he says, no, everyone's judging me, Helen, they're judging me. And I just get chills because I guess I can relate to it in so many ways, but I just feel such humility and despair for David, like working so hard and wanting to provide, and again, not catching that break. So there's these amazing humble moments in the movie. There's a lot of levity to it, as well as the fun and adventure. They kind of go hand in hand, which is why I think this movie is so incredible.
There's a lot of fun guest stars too. Talk about Hillary Scott, because as you said, as it almost feels like a little bit of a revival and people being more okay with being bold about their faith. She's one of those. So it's so cool to see her in this space, and I want more.
I know. It really is. Yeah, Hillary's become a good friend of mine over the last few years. And she was actually, I asked her to play a part in, and she wrote an original song for a Christmas movie that I had out 2 years ago called A Christmas Present. And she was in that movie. And while we were doing it, I was also executive producing Unsung Hero simultaneously. And so talking with Joel and Luke, it was like, I think Hillary would be amazing to be the worship leader in this movie. And so we all encouraged her to join in. And she was like, wow, I like a couple opportunities right in a row. And I think God is asking something of me. So she just jumped in with both feet, and it's been incredible. So she lends her beautiful voice and face to the character of Luann. And that was such a treat. And I don't, one of the other faces that's in the movie for me that is so fantastic is Terry O'Quinn. He was in Lost, which is one of my favorite shows of all time. And he is so good as their grandfather, James. He just brings such a warmth to the screen. And I absolutely love when he's on every single time.
Hey, you brought up the producing and your acting in this. Talk a little bit. I don't think people really realize, maybe when they see, that this film is brought to you by Candace Cameron Bure, or it's produced or executive produced. Talk about those roles, because it's got to be very different to be holding those different hats, wearing those different hats. I'd imagine they help each other out because you've been on both sides of it. But talk about the behind the camera part, because I want to make sure people understand what that is and why that's important. You talk about unsung heroes. Sometimes a lot of the producers are unsung heroes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, people may not realize that I've executive produced probably the last 25 movies for television that I've been in. But then now my company, Candy Rock Entertainment, we're actually producing the film. So that's been just another growth direction for me. So we're actually, and I don't want to get into the weeds of like the difference of executive producing versus producing. And then people are like, now what's the director do? Because I know it all sounds like it's this very collaborative team, but you need every piece of the puzzle. And basically producers, executive producers are putting all of those puzzle pieces together. But my company has been growing. So I'm on that end of developing movies, getting the financial backing for movies, and then putting the pieces together of all the players, your crew, your cast, your everything, your post-production, your distribution. And so this is our first feature film with Candy Rock Entertainment, which is why it's another reason I could not be so proud, because I produced many, many movies for television, and I'm continuing to do that with my channel at Great American Family. But to go into the feature world is a little bit different, and they're bigger budgets, and there's a different framework around it, and it's really exciting for me.
Do you think this is a launching pad for more of kind of feature film?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you see this continuing.
Yeah, I'm been praying for a lot of things for a long time in terms of trajectory and career and where I want to go. So this is just the beginning of something new for me.
Well, again, Candace, I just can't thank you enough for spending some time with me. I have been telling everybody about this movie. It is so, so good. I can't wait for more people to see this, and for it to encourage families to continue to encourage and love each other and celebrate the family unit, which you have been doing for decades now.
Thank you so much, and enjoy the film. Bring your whole family out to watch. It's a good one.
Now, also starring in Unsung Hero is Lucas Black. He, of course, was on NCIS New Orleans for several seasons before taking on more faith-based projects and roles.
We're excited.
So tell me about your relationship with For King and Country before you came on board.
Well, I wasn't familiar with it at all, actually. I'd heard some of their music just from, going to church and listening to Christian music. But after I did Legacy Peak and Birthright, a lot of the faith-based, producers and studios got word I was doing those films. And so some of the connections made there, Andy Irwin, which is from Alabama, he interviewed me like when I was a child actor, or I think I was probably like 17 or 18. But, and so they contacted me, and see if I wanted to be a part of the story. I read the script, loved the script. And, it's just, I'm honored to be a part of it, because this is, first of all, this is an incredible story that really, honors and uplifts their mother, in a profound way. And then I think, stories like this need to be made. And I think there's a hunger for the American people to see stories like this, right? Good, wholesome content that promotes family, promotes faith, and puts our family values and Christian values in a good light. So yeah, this is one it's close to my heart, and I'm proud to be a part of, and I'm looking forward for all of you guys out there to see it.
I know that's what's so interesting because I've, talked with you before. I know a little bit of kind of what your passion is. And yeah, one of the themes of this is family unity and celebrating what that looks like in the good times and in the bad times. And that just, again, because I know a little bit more of your story, that's what's all you're about these days.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like first of all, family is close to God's heart. Throughout the whole Bible, it's pretty much written in a family language. And He cares about His children, and so it's really, for me, as a father and as a husband, those two things, taking responsibility in those roles. Are the most fulfilling in my life, not my career, not anything else that I do. And so, I think the value of marriage has been undermined for so long in entertainment and in our culture. So we need to bring that back, and the value of being, a husband and a father, a good father that is intentional about raising their kids and pointing them in the direction of truth, to be responsible adults, is there's a great joy in that responsibility, and it's fulfilling. So yeah, this story here, I really like how, you mentioned, even through the good times and the bad times, it shows them sticking together. Helen Smallbone, she has to be there for her husband, um, even if she's not, uh, even if it's not comfortable, right? She's going through some struggles, and their family's going through struggles, and she sticks by his side through it all, and they grow. They grow from that. The relationship um, grows from that, and they have more intimacy because of it. There's things that David Smallbone, the father, the husband, does. He messes up, but he comes and apologizes, and they forgive him and give him hugs and kisses. And it's awesome to see that faith in their children as well. They have that childlike faith. This story shows that. They pray for things that most of us adults probably wouldn't pray for, and you get to see how God answers those prayers in the story. And they yearn for their father, right? They yearn for their father's presence, and you see, they're quick to forgive him. They're quick to accept his apology and love him. And so that's a phenomenal. It's a good redeeming quality of this story, and it highlights the relationships that mean the most to us. And so I'm really proud to be a part of it.
I just want to congratulate you again and just encourage you to be seeking more of these kind of projects, because I'm going to do my part to get the word out about it as well, to support these, because we want more.
Well, I appreciate it, Carley, and thanks for the compliments. And I just encourage everyone to go out and see it, right? Because this helps. That support helps make more movies like this, and more stories will get done that's wholesome and good and uplifting. And so I'm looking forward to everyone out there and the feedback from watching this film.
Again, Unsung Hero is in theaters now. Go to unsunghero.movie for ticket info. Okay, last but not least is another movie I want to tell you about, and this one is brought to you in part by Candace Cameron Bure as well, because she is a producer of this film too. I'm talking about Just in Time, which you can now stream on Great American Pure Flix.
We haven't been on the same page for months. I think we need a break.
God, I really want to save my marriage. But if you could give me some sort of a sign. Hello?
Good evening, miss. I found your watch buried in the sand today at Pier Beach. I could try and help you figure out what this watch could mean.
Maybe I'm supposed to open my hands and let go of trying to save something that's run its course.
I know we've just met, but I believe you and your husband's love is worth fighting for.
Nothing I do feels like it's enough anymore.
It's gonna take something bigger than yourself to fix your marriage, son.
If you embrace those long stretches between where you are and where you want to be, the possibilities will amaze you.
So talk about when you saw this script, and again, your hands have been in so much over the last years between music and Broadway and other movies. What was it about this particular one that really draw you in and it drew you in and said, you know what, yeah, I want to be a part of this one?
I was so honored and excited when Candace approached me about this project. I was thrilled that she was attached, and to be the network's first Easter movie, I felt very honored to be considered. And so I love that this has a very faith-forward message. There's so much hope, there's redemption, but there's also depth and real life issues. A lot of these movies, for these networks are like two people falling in love at Christmas, and that's beautiful, and there's a place for that. But this was about a married couple going through a real life struggle that was causing a near breaking point in their marriage, and they essentially separate for the weekend to try to figure life out and heal and mend and learn ultimately to rely on something bigger than themselves to help restore hope in their marriage. And it just was so beautiful. I've never done a story like that. And I was very drawn to it for that way, as an actor, as an artist, as a believer. To get to tell this story meant a lot for me.
Man, one of the themes in this is patience. And
Yes.
whether it's infertility, whether it's searching for a job, whether it's finding that certain partner that you're longing for. I mean, there's so many different things that I think this season of patience can teach us. I'm sure you've probably had to deal with that, and I'm sure hearing no for certain projects you audition for, and it's just such a part of life, and it's tough. I always say you never want to pray for patience.
It's like you wouldn't wish that season on anybody, and yet there are things you can learn when you are having to be patient, and things you have to learn in the waiting and trusting God's timing that you can only learn from having to go through it.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. If you had some walks of life where you had to really be patient, say, "Okay, God, what are you doing?" Because I also love the name of this is just in time. We have a saying in our family, God's a just in time God. He's never late, he's never early, he's just in time.
It's so true. Absolutely. I've had tons of things I've had to wait and learn that art of patience and in trusting God's timing, because he answers every prayer, but not how we think. And sometimes he says no, and sometimes he says yes, and sometimes he says not yet. And so uh, beginning to really rely on him as father and ultimate just overseer of life, we have to learn that lesson sometimes. And it's hard to give up control. My character in the movie, Hannah, really likes control. And in trying to have a baby, she has tried to control everything along the way. And she's doing everything right in the worldly sense to try to make it happen. And God has to teach her that lesson of going like, my timing is perfect. If you would just learn to surrender, then maybe I will give you what you're asking for. But you can't grow until you have to walk through that fire that we were talking about, walk through that valley, learn those valuable lessons, because that will make you more like me. That will turn you into the person that I've created you to be. Instead of thinking you can do it all on your own.
And us women, I feel like we tend to, and men can be like that too, but I'm a problem solver. So when there's like an issue, I'm like, well, here's our steps that we need to do and to take. And man, sometimes when God answers those prayers, they're even better than what we thought we wanted anyways.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, they are better.
Yeah.
They are better. The best place you can be is in the center of God's plan and acting in
Mhm.
obedience and surrendering to that one voice that matters. Who cares what the world thinks? What is God saying?
Yeah.
I definitely had to learn that lesson the hard way. I will say I've had to learn it the hard way.
Yeah.
And in certain jobs that seemed like the best next step that I just kind of took without being really discerning and prayerful and going while I was in the job going, I don't think this was God's best.
Mm.
And yet he gives us free will. That's the thing is he lets us decide at the end of the day. And having to go through that made me learn like, oh, I really need to surrender every opportunity to him. Or, I think he still uses those things for his good. Do you know what I mean? Like ultimately he uses it for good, but he doesn't guarantee it's going to be sunshine and rainbows all the time.
So true. How has it been kind of a woman in faith and in the entertainment industry? And again, because you've seen kind of just such different sides of everything, how has that been? Again, I love that you mentioned Candace Cameron, and how she's been able to, I can imagine what a mentor she must be in the season of life, handling everything that she does as well. But I know
Yes.
it's not the easiest, but we need more women like you to step up.
Thank you for saying that. It isn't easy. I mean, first of all, being in the entertainment industry alone, you're told no a lot of your life. The industry is very volatile. It's a total roller coaster. And then being a Christian in the industry, feeling called to just love people and be a light in a sometimes kind of dark industry and world. I always felt like that was God's call in my life. And I had a kind of difficult experience leaving New York and felt like the darkness was overcoming the light and I had to get out. And it's been a whole new thing in Nashville now. And I feel like the believers in the industry are starting to find each other and be able to encourage each other because it can be very isolating sometimes. And I'm finding in this season that I'm like, wait, I'm not alone. Meeting people like Candace that are like, oh yeah, we're going through this adversity together, but we're finding each other and creating content that is wonderful and stays true to the values that we have. And we're being filled up so that we can go back out into the world that we're called to and be lights again. But I feel like there was kind of a season the last few years have been really hard where I feel like a lot of the Christians in the industry, like we've just been depleted a little bit. And I feel like we're in a season now of finding each other, coming together to encourage and spur each other on and create God honoring content in a world that isn't really a value in the media and in the entertainment world very much. You kind of have to hunt for it. So I'm a big advocate for networks like GAF that are producing content like this and putting good messages and redemption out into the world.
For more info on the film, go to greatamericanfamily.com. Oh, I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. I'm Carley Boyette, and I look forward to seeing you next week right here on your Christian television network.